Genesis. Our coordinates are here: phone number, email, and the website if you need more information about the different business lines we have. But our focus for today is on the training and certification. So if you are ready to be enrolled in our training courses and get certified or qualified and certified to be our trainer, please email us at info@genesis-datasolutions.com. Please indicate on the subject line that your email is referring to the training and certification program we have, because we have up to 6 different business lines, which I will very briefly talk about in the next few slides. This is our agenda today. We have a topic of the month's project charter development for today. And as you can see, we'll also be talking about the different courses that are available currently and how to become our trainer and more. Yeah, so before I start, please share this with your loved ones so they don't miss anything that may be important to them in their professional development. Yeah, so what we do, as I indicated, there are several business lines, but the majority of work we do is on the data front, the digital front. That is data-enabled digital solutions. We collect data from different companies. Data has no boundary, so we don't have boundaries with respect to the industry we serve. As long as there is a need for data analysis, data processing, data visualization, and of course it has to be machine learning and artificial intelligence-based services, we are there to help, right? So we collect data from industries. We use our digital platform. Now we are migrating it into a cloud system. We develop models, softwares, and all those sorts that you can think of on the digital front. So we do all that. Currently, we have 2 initiatives. One is helping Sickle Cell Foundation Alberta in developing an app, and another project or initiative that we have is developing a software that's machine learning based software that predicts corrosion in pipelines. That's tailored to the oil and gas industry. But as I said, we don't have any boundary when it comes to providing our data-enabled consultancy services. We have also an R&D initiative on the eco-friendly front. The most recent initiative we have is developing a green concrete infrastructure. But our focus for today is on training and certification. So we have 5 different fields or area of training specialization that we offer: quality and management, digital transformation, cybersecurity, data and privacy, and you name it. So the digital, we'll actually go through them one by one. Again, please visit our website at genesis-datasolutions.com to learn more about what we do at Genesis. Just a reminder, every month we have this webinar. That's every last Tuesday of each month at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time, okay? And after this webinar is completed, we will upload the video into YouTube, and also release it on LinkedIn. So we are using actually in total 5 different platforms, including our website, 6 platforms. Project charter. Okay, let me very quickly walk you through what our project charter template looks like. This is a standard template that you see my slide, right? The project charter. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good. So again, this is a template that many organizations use. It's not unique to Genesis. You know, the format may change a little bit, but the content is similar from organization to organization. You start with the company or project logo, okay? And you should also have your proposed project name. And the versions and all that is captured down here. But, you know, until it is approved, a project charter may have different versions. So you should have a table dedicated for that. And once it is approved, it's approved, it may not be changed because it's a project charter and it's a high level information of the project you are managing. Distribution list. This depends on the organization you are working for. For small organizations, you know, you may be directly working as a project manager. You may be directly working with the CEO. For example, at Genesis, while I am the highest authority, everybody practically works with me because we are small. But in bigger organizations, you may have a distribution list up to probably 10, depending on the size of your organization, right? You may have someone who needs update on the quality aspect, so quality manager or the accounting, etc., the project sponsor. So you could have a list. So depending on the organization you are working, so your distribution list could be more or less. But for small companies, you may have a couple of them. And the same thing with the approvals. So normally, the project manager is accountable for the project sponsor because a project sponsor is the one who initiates a project, and he's the one actually bringing the project, because sometimes he or she acts as the business developer, the project sponsor I'm talking about. But in bigger organizations, again, you may have several approvers. It may go all the way to the upper management. So again, depending on the organizations you are working for, you may have several approvals. Now, a project charter, as I indicated previously, is issued by the project initiator or the project sponsor. I should give my own example here. When I was working for several companies, sometimes I act, especially if the company is small. When I was working for a very small company in Calgary, I was bringing the project myself, which means I was acting as both the project initiator or a sponsor, as well as the project manager. But in bigger organizations, which I work, for example, the most recent experience I had was working with one of the biggest organizations here based in Edmonton, where we had a dedicated people who just brings project, right? And we are there waiting for a project to manage. So typically in bigger organizations, that is what it is. But in smaller organizations, as I indicated, you may act both as a project sponsor as well as a project manager, okay? So once the project is approved or signed by the project sponsor or by the executives, now you have the formal authority to practically ask for resources. For example, in the project, you may need 3 different machines or equipments. Before this is approved, you may not be able to get those equipments because this is the document that formally authorizes the existence of the project. And it is the one that provides the project manager, that's you, with the authority to apply organizational resources to project activities. So you should keep this in mind. Now, project charter may have different versions. If there is not too much correction coming from your project sponsor, the first version could be the one that's going to be approved. But depending on when it will be approved, it could be the 3rd version of the project charter that will be approved. So that's why you need to keep track of the different versions. Now, these are the contents of the project. Again, I'm talking about in general, right? It depends on the project you are working for. Sometimes they may want to focus just on the project governance, project manager responsibilities, project organizations, etc., right? But in general, these things are included in project charter, in most project charters. You should start with purpose or project justification. The purpose of the project and the requirements of the project should be addressed very clearly. I like talking about this by giving examples. If I take an example of one of the projects that I managed, because I want to explain what a requirement of a project is. Okay, we were developing a sensor. That sensor is supposed to be applied in high temperature environment, in SAGD operations, in oil and gas. So one of the requirements was that the sensor should be able to detect corrosion, pipeline corrosion, in harsh environment, in aggressive environment. In this case, it's a high temperature up to 300 degrees C. So that's one of the requirements we had. Okay, so you know, so requirements depends on what projects you are managing. So your target will be just to meet the requirements. Objectives and success criteria, of course, again, they all are interlinked. So in here, you briefly discuss the intended goals and expected outcomes of the project. Okay, so after the sensor is completed, then the outcome has to be in such a way that it has to be cheaper compared to the sensors out there, because cost is one of the constraints we have in any project. Schedule, cost, and scope are the three main things we will discuss later on that a project manager should be paying attention. We want to be competitive, so we want to take into account the cost. Plus, of course, I mentioned the temperature aspect of it. The experience we had with that sensor actually was that we started developing the sensor using epoxy. So the epoxy we got, you know, the seller told us that it could tolerate temperatures as high as 300 degrees C, but when we tested it, it didn't. The epoxy melted at 300 degrees C. So what we did was to get another material, which is in this case ceramic, which has a temperature tolerance as high as over actually 300 degrees C. Good. Under the objectives and success criteria, the business strategy objective and the project objective should also be described well. So the project objectives should be measurable and quantifiable, right? But the business strategy objective is something that you take into account the vision of your organization. So the project objectives should be linked to the overall vision and objective of your organization. Now we are talking about at organization level. Otherwise, you may not get your project approved. If it is not relevant to the roadmap of the organization, you may not get your project charter approved. So keep that in mind. And the requirements, I gave one example of the requirement, which is temperature was key from the clients, right? They want to deploy the sensor into a high temperature environment, SAGD operations. So here you are not expected to put details of the requirements because it's just a maximum of 10-page document. So a high level requirement. So because this document is sent to upper management for approval, right? They don't need to know in detail what it takes to develop a sensor. No technical stuff, just a high level aspect of the project. So they know that it is relevant to the organization, that they can afford, right, to build the sensor and things like that, a high level information. Project assumptions and or constraints. Of course, as I mentioned, there are 3 constraints that a project manager should be always looking when managing. That's cost, schedule, and scope. Okay, so you have to define them very well. And the constraints and assumptions that you are currently aware of should be captured in this section. Some regulatory or legislative requirements that may be aware of. For example, in developing a sensor, you may have to follow STM standards, right? All this has to be captured in here, okay? And if there are any funding limitations or sunset dates, which is when will the project will be terminated. Assumptions are statements taken for granted or accepted as true without proof, right? You assume, but in reality, when you start executing the projects, the assumptions may not be true. So if the assumption happen to be wrong, what are your mitigation strategies, right? How are you going to tackle those issues that you assume are true, but in reality they are not? So you should prepare as a project manager, for all these sequential things that may happen. Project management is not an easy task, by the way. You may assume something and you end up into completely different thing. So you should always have a backup plan, okay? Again, the assumptions and constraints are linked to the preliminary risk assessment. Again, a very high level risk associated with the project, along with their mitigation strategies, okay? Summary of a milestone schedule. Normally, projects are executed in phases, right? So in order to have a full control of the project, in other words, to complete the project on time, you need to have a project milestone. Let's say if you think that these 5 are the main aspects of the project. Initiation, for example, when should you complete the initial phase of the project? There are 5 process groups that we all know in project management: initiating, planning, executing, controlling and monitoring, and closing. So the initial phase normally shouldn't exceed more than 15%. That's the rule of thumb, right? About 15%. So when is your forecasted date? And who will be accountable for the owner? Normally, here we have the project manager as the owner, normally. And the concept development, here we have a subject matter expert, SME, who knows the technology and all that. In the case of developing a sensor, an engineer, practical, will be the one taking the ownership of this. And the forecast date should come from the subject matter expert, because he or she knows how long it takes to complete this task. Planning, normally the whole team member is involved in planning. Again, we have to assign someone from the team members. Requirement analysis, again, subject matter expert is responsible for that. Designing, subject matter expert. And the development aspect, again, technologists or technicians are the ones who actually do the actual job, but they need a guidance from subject matter experts. So the idea here is everybody will be accountable. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So the idea of practically developing this table is to have a milestone schedule, and that we know who is accountable for each aspect of the project milestone. We also need a summary of estimated budget for each task. In fact, I would say it's better to start with a work package. Okay, so once you have the work package established, then it's easier to put a rough order of magnitude of the costs associated with each work package. In this case, you may think that, you know, software development is one of the main things that would consume most of your money. and then you have a budget for that. This is an estimate, by the way, okay? And internal resources, it could be for equipment or the money that goes straight to the salary of your team members, including you. Contractor resources, you may have tasks that you may not be able to do it, then you have to outsource it. And you have then the total ROM budget estimate for your project. Project governance structure. Here, you describe how the project will be managed and overseen. Who decides the project is successful? Normally, it's the project sponsor. And who signs off on project progress? Again, depending on the organization you are working, sometimes the project sponsor, if it is a small project especially, the project sponsor is good enough just to sign off. But if it is a big project where there is quality management is a big issue for your client, then you may have a quality manager signing on the quality aspect of the project. And changes and completion of the tasks or the projects and all that, you have to very clearly define, okay? Now, what is the role of a project manager or project manager's responsibility? So, he or she interface with the project sponsor, executive sponsor, and steering committee. Again, depending on the organization you are working with. If it's too small, you may have a chance to, communicate directly with the CEO, right? If it's a small company. You are the one negotiating for resources. If you need additional people to work in your project, the project manager is responsible to make that ask. Delegate responsibilities, of course, that is the big task you have as a project manager. Okay, you're not going to do the actual job yourself. You are there defining the tasks and then eventually delegating them. About 90% of your time you spend communicating with your team members, with other project managers, and with upper management. Practically with all stakeholders. 90% of your time. Keep that in mind. And when it comes to the technical aspect, the project manager is responsible for developing the Microsoft project plan, managing the schedule, cost, and scope of the project, measurement performance, and taking corrective actions. So quite a lot of responsibility. That's why a project manager is not there to do the actual job. You already have quite a lot of stuff to do. Next, project organization chart. One of the critical things that you would develop as a project manager. Organizational chart shows who reports to whom. Again, depending on the size of the project you are managing, it could be very complicated, but this one takes into account two project managers. You may be the one here, one of them could be you, right? But in smaller projects, you are the main project manager, right? And you may have a subcontractor, and that company has its own project manager. You should also keep that into account, okay? So overall, what you would include in your organizational chart is the hierarchy of responsibilities or authorities for each team member, okay? In small projects, you may not have quality assurance. If quality is not a big deal for the client, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't take into account the quality aspect of the project, but you may not need to have a quality assurance personnel, okay? I think this is the last thing, which is very important to have it, the responsibility assignment matrix, RASI, that is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed matrix. Here, once you have, okay, let's say we have a project that requires maybe 50 tasks. To put those 50 tasks in this responsibility assignment matrix is not easy. So what you would do is you group those tasks that are related into a work package. So now you have 4 work packages. Now it's easy to assign the work packages into individuals. In this particular case, there are 8 team members, that includes the project manager. For work package 1, person number 1 is responsible, doing the actual job. If it is sensor development, the techs or the technicians or the technologists will be the R. They are responsible to do the job. Consultant is subject matter expert. Okay? If something goes wrong, in our case, the sensor was not responding at higher temperatures, so we had to go to one of the engineers to make sure that he suggests the right material. Okay? A accountant is the project manager normally, and I informed a project sponsor. Okay, so these are things that you should be aware of or develop when you are asked to develop the project charter. With this, I kind of finish the introduction on the project charter template we have here at Genesis. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can drop me a chat here, but I don't see that. So I will continue with the rest. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, we have over 60 courses, but the idea is that just to focus on what is relevant to Genesis Data Solutions. So we have a partner, PCB, who would be doing the exam and the certification process, and we are there to teach the courses, okay? So our partner has the ISO and IEC courses, well recognized by several industries, and the accreditations and affiliations for our partnering organizations are listed in here, IAS and UKAS. You can Google them and see their influence. Now, there are about 9 areas of specialization of field where the 60 courses that I talked about will be grouped under. However, for Genesis, the first 5 field or area of specialization are more relevant. That's quality and management, digital transformation, information security, cyber security, privacy, and data protection. We are a digital company, so we focus mainly on those first 5 ones. The first one is quality and management. Currently, we have project management training based on ISO 21500, Six Sigma Belt certification, Agile and Scrum. So these are the 3 main courses we have currently. With digital transformation, including blockchain, artificial intelligence, big data, Internet of Things, and cloud security. These are the courses we are getting into, but currently we don't have those trainings. But Shola, you do have some of the experiences in here, right? You can.
Yes.
Yeah. So you indicated that cloud security is in your area. Is that what you mentioned last time?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, but again, we will be building on this, but we have currently 4 major courses that we are giving the training on. Information security, cyber security. I think you are also certified to teach cyber security, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, good. And privacy and data protection is the last course we have. Now, the 4 courses that I mentioned that we are offering under Genesis Data Solutions. First one is project management or PMP and leadership training course. The course is prepared strictly following PMI's project management methodologies and principles. And as you all know, PMI is well recognized for its project management methodologies. And the course includes both the waterfall and agile or Scrum project management methodology. We have over 20 project management spreadsheets and templates that we share with our students. In addition to the technical skills, that is, in addition to learning the 10 project management knowledge areas, you also learn the soft skills you need to be an effective project manager. That is leadership skill, communication skills, emotional intelligence, interpersonal relationships, and more. By taking the course, you can become our trainer. Once you are certified, you pass the exam and you get the certificate from the certification body. It could be PMI or PECB. You can be our trainer. Or you can become a professional project manager with PMP, where you can work for other organizations, right? And I would also like to indicate that we help with the exam and certification process, okay? So we practically tell you what to prepare for to pass the exam. To get the course content, please email us at info@genesis-datasolutions.com. With respect to Agile and Scrum, these are the contents that will be covered in the course. It's a 3-day course. So Agile foundation, transition from waterfall to Agile, you can read, I think, in here. So practically all you need to know in managing Agile projects that change. They're a little bit different than traditional projects. Then you will learn practically everything you need. Again, you can become a professional Agile project manager, or you can become our trainer as well, okay? ISO 21500 lead project manager. This course mainly focuses on the traditional or the waterfall project management methodology. In this course, you learn several aspects of project management, including improving project delivery, providing shared project management process and principles, transparent and improved decision-making, unifying the profession by building a common language and standard processes, etc. Most importantly, you will increase your self-esteem. It's a very comprehensive 40-hour course. We plan to finish it in 1 month, okay? Of course, there is exam and certification that we will guide you on how to get PCB certified if you take this course. The last course we have currently active under Genesis is the Six Sigma certification. In this course, you will learn what you need to know to improve processes, right? Process improvement is the main thing here. In addition, Lean Sigma, value-added analysis, data analysis, descriptive statistics, and graphical displays are some of the contents of this course. Now, you can become our trainer, but you have to be either a qualified professional already with a certificate to teach, or you have to take our courses. Once you take our courses and you pass the exam and get your individual certification, followed by a trainer certification, you will be more than welcomed to join our team. Now, if you are interested to be our approved trainer, or if you want to collaborate with us, we have actually few lucrative or attractive stuffs here. So there is a referral payout that we pay. Let's say you refer students to register through our website, you get up to 7% of the revenue that Genesis gets from each student, by the way, from each student. Whether you are an instructor or someone who you just refer to another person, it doesn't matter. as long as you refer someone to attend our courses, any of the courses that I mentioned, up to 7% referral payout. For trainers who are already qualified to train with certification like PMP, for example, then we provide the training materials. Marketing is done for you. We use 6 different platforms, including the Genesis website, plus 5 social media platforms to do the marketing for you. And we have also attractive compensation structure that practically, compared to the other out there, ours is more attractive. Yeah, so that is it. Okay, I don't see anything here. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, if you have any questions, you can just email me at info@genesis-datasolutions.com, and we'll be very happy to. Sola, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. With respect to, I actually want to mention that we have a promotion currently. The ISO 21500 lead project manager is at 25% discount, and the Six Sigma another 25% discount. So on our website, you know, we use the GoDaddy, and I just want to. So do you see the website?
Yes.
Okay. So we have, by the way, 5 days more for registration. Okay. And here, the system is not allowing us to actually put 40 hours here. So students, I hope, will understand that each courses, their description is on here, practical, on the first sentence. For example, the PMP and leadership course will take place on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The course duration 3 hours a day and 40 hours a month for a total cost of $750. It's not $750 every 3 hours, so it's confusing. So the GoDaddy doesn't give me that option, so I had to use what probably I should investigate on using a different platform. But that's the same thing for this one. 3 hours is not equivalent to the 350 for the Agile Scrum certification. Rather, the 350 is for the whole duration of the course, not for the 3 hours that you do per day. Good. Our next live streaming session is May 31st. It's going to be on Tuesday, the same time, 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Here are our training and certification professionals. I talked a little bit about them at the beginning, but Tammy Lindman is our administrative coordinator. She is in charge of the marketing and the administration aspect of the training and certification. And I am the managing director. I like teaching, so I also do teach the PMP and leadership course. Chetan Sandhu is a director at ACOM, and he's teaching PMP and the leadership course, which the course I am teaching. And Adriana Pacelli, she's a highly qualified professional with over 20 years experience in Six Sigma certification. And she's also Six Sigma Black Belt certified. And she's well known in the quality management aspect of projects. And Sola Oduko has quite a lot of certification. The space was not enough, so I had to choose what is relevant. So he has MBA, he's PMP certified, And he will, depending on how busy we all will be, he can teach quite several projects for us. But given he comes from the IT industry, who is experienced in software development and all that, he will be mainly teaching the Agile and Scrum project management for us. So again, if you have any questions or you want to get the course outline before you register, we would be happy to provide that to you. Just email us. On the subject line, indicate that you need the course content, and you have to be very specific on what you need. With this, I think I finish the webinar. Thank you all. And yeah, so I think that's all for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Let me